Standing together. That's the power of our chapters, especially in times of crisis. This was the case for the Southern and Northern California chapters as flames and mudslides engulfed the state. Welcome to MPI TV, sponsored by Caesars Entertainment. You've seen the story in the February edition of The Meeting Professional, and now we're chatting with chapter leaders. And I want to welcome Joe Marcy, president of the Southern California chapter, and also with the Monterey CVB. Joe, thanks for being with us. It's my understanding that some of the chapter members were personally affected by the fires. Can you share their stories and how they're doing now?
Some of our members in our region have faced voluntary and mandatory evacuations during December, and it was definitely not how they planned to spend their holiday season. It was very challenging for so many of them, and it's impacted a lot of our members as well. But the fires were really just the beginning of it. When we concluded our mid-year retreat in January, we experienced firsthand. We saw the mudslides that occurred, and one of our board members was actually unable to make it home because of those road closures. So it's been challenging for many different reasons, both personally and professionally. But those roads have reopened, and we're hoping to rebuild and start a new day.
Yeah, I mean, you almost feel helpless when it hits so close to home, but luckily you guys have a strong chapter, a strong community. Can you speak to the value of having other chapter members to rely on during times of need?
Well, we've always said that we're more than just an organization. We really are a community, and we have spent a lot of time. We've always been a resource to our members in need. We came together when Las Vegas needed us, and we're here to support Ventura and Santa Barbara in their time of need as well. So for those that have reached out to support the victims, we've directed them to local Red Cross and United Way efforts, and then any donations are still being accepted, and we've posted those on our homepage of mpiscc.org.
Communication is extremely important in situations like this, so how did you drive those communication efforts?
Well, we really drive our communications to our website very often, so whether it's for our volunteer efforts, our upcoming events, or industry-related news, we really have made sure that our website is really the place to go to get that information. So it's on the top of our homepage with the links to Red Cross and United Way efforts. And these organizations have made such huge contributions, and we're so happy to be part of it.
Now, I want to bring in another chapter leader, Lucy Jovanda Watts, into the conversation. Lucy, you are the chapter president for the Northern California chapter and also the founder and CEO of Lasso 40. Now, the Northern California firestorms raged through Sonoma and parts of Napa. How were you able to communicate with members throughout the crisis?
The first thing we did was reach out to our members in the area. We sent out that Monday an email to the membership that were either in Sonoma County or Napa County that we knew were close to the fires, to just check on them, to see how they were doing, to let them know we're thinking of them, and also to offer any help or assistance that they needed. So that was the first thing we did immediately. Then we also reached out to our partners at Sonoma County Tourism Board and asked them how things were going, what we could do as a chapter to help, and took their suggestion and ran with it. So what we did, we actually had a program coming up a couple weeks after down at Netflix at their corporate campus, and our community involvement committee jumped in and provided marketing for the membership to bring in gift cards that we were going to collect for our colleagues in the hospitality industry that were affected by the fires. Having the great relationships with people in the community is just essential. I loved Susie Montez, who works for the Sonoma County Tourism Board, and I were on constant communication. And so we were on calls, and she was giving me updates right away, so that if a chapter member contacted me directly or anyone from our board, we would have information to help them immediately. So that sense of community, being able to know who to go to in a time of need, is essential. And it really showed with these fires and how our chapter and our members reacted.
Contingency planning is, of course, at the top of almost every meeting professional's list. So what are some lessons learned following the North Bay fires that other event professionals should keep in mind in the case of an emergency?
And again, going back to Susie Montez and Charmaine, her colleague that she works with, they were in direct communication with, of course, the Emergency Preparedness County agency. And when they found out that the cell service wasn't very, well, the internet actually and cell service was kind of spotty here and there. They took to posting on Facebook instead of trying to send out email communications to people. So any resources that they found about, they heard about, or were told that were helpful for their community, they posted this on Facebook. So Facebook became a resource page for so many people in the area. And then we as members would take their shares and repost them. So it was really interesting to see how Facebook became a vital source for people for knowledge about what was going on in the North Bay fires. So taking a look at that and saying, okay, if we have a fire or some sort of natural disaster or human disaster, unfortunately, what are some resources that we can use to get the information out? When houses burn down and you're not calling landlines, people have cell numbers, but maybe those cell numbers aren't registered. How else can we get that information out? So I think we can learn a lot by how people reacted to the North Bay fires and other natural disasters throughout the United States and the world, and take those learned lessons and make plans for the future. As a chapter leader, to be able to get that information in real time was essential. And so she would call me and say, listen, I just met with the emergency response team. This is what they're saying. They were the one that suggested the gift cards over toiletries or anything like that, because those we can give directly to our hospitality friends. So I think they were essential in the recovery and what we as a chapter could provide to our members.
The power of relationships in our industry can ultimately change lives. Something else Sonoma County Tourism did that was pretty unique is develop a luggage or suitcase campaign. Can you tell us more about that and how it helped victims?
Charmaine started a suitcase program where she went to local shelters and found out that people were just donating stuff, which was amazing, but they needed, it wasn't organized. So Charmaine would have a suitcase full of women's clothing size 8 with shoes and clothing and toiletries for a woman, and then a kid, boy size 5, that type of thing. And she'd donate these suitcases to the local shelters.
Joe and Lucy, we thank you both for your leadership, especially during these trying times for your chapter members. We're also happy to report that impacted areas like Montecito and Sonoma are open for business, so we encourage you to bring your meetings there and support our friends in California. For even more on the California fires and how the community rallied together, check out the full story in the February issue of The Meeting Professional. Thanks for being with us on this edition of MPI TV, sponsored by Caesars Entertainment.